It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Oh, my God. Well, joining us now is Chris Swecker, former assistant director at the FBI. He oversaw all the criminal prosecutions there. Very important position. Director Swecker, great to have you here. What are you hearing from your sources about what's behind this? What are you hearing?
Well, I have some pretty decent sources, and I also have my own perspective on it because I dealt directly with the Secret Service at high levels. And I think what the consensus inside the Secret Service is it's a resource problem. That they're grossly under-resourced. People are working 30, 40 days in a row, et cetera. I happen to know also that they have branched significantly into economic crimes, cybercrime, investment frauds, healthcare fraud, you name it, all kinds of frauds. The FBI had to scale back on some of that stuff after 9/11, and frankly, it's more fun to work. So I think that the agency has gotten away. They've strayed from their basic fundamental mission of protection. They have enough resources to do the protection, but they divert them to other areas that are a lot more fun to work, and they think will get them more funding from Congress. So I think what needs to happen is they need to do some soul searching to decide, are they the premier elite protection agency, or are we going to have to create a different one?
Have you found, has the FBI or anybody else found anything in the background of this Thomas Matthews crooks?
Not that I haven't heard. I don't have any inside information from the Bureau. I don't put them on the spot by calling them, but they have pretty good discipline. If they knew something, they probably wouldn't put it out to us. But I think this kid is pretty much, what you see is what you get. I get the need to look beyond him and to think that this couldn't just be one lone 20-year-old, recent graduate from high school who works at a nursing home, and he was able to get this, get in there inside that perimeter, get this shot off. But I don't think we're going to find any large conspiratorial connections here. And I'm not hearing anything about that from the Bureau.
Why is some of the networks put out that the fact that, maybe he wasn't shot with a bullet and maybe it was a glass or maybe, what kind of, I don't understand why CNN or MSNBC is saying that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they can't handle that this is elevated Trump. They're just beside themselves. I was in another studio and someone came up to me and said, "Hey, don't you think Trump did this to himself?" And I thought to myself, come on, have another fireman killed and two others seriously wounded, and it's by design that they just clipped the president's ear, or former president's ear. These folks are they're beside themselves because they have created in many ways a martyr.
And the biggest crisis we have today, Agent Stryker, is the new Iran. Iran has said they have a nuclear bomb. And who was it? Blinken.
Yeah, Blinken saying they're 1 to 2 weeks away from fissile material, which is really frightening.
Well, that was predictable. I mean, when Biden gave them back their hundreds of millions, took away the sanctions, that funded a lot of things, none of which were in our best interest. I mean, all towards terrorism and dictatorship and despotism, and they were never going to stop their nuclear program. They can even if they made an agreement, they wouldn't honor it. Anybody that has any savvy knows that about the Iranians. Any experience in national intelligence and national geopolitical affairs. So, this Joe Biden has simply enabled our enemies in everywhere you turn, and it's affected our national security posture is much, much worse than it was 4 years ago.
Director Swecker, we just had KT McFarland on earlier with the National Security Council under Trump a while ago. She was saying that she is so worried about this period right now, especially because of what we're seeing, at the White House and this enabling, as you just talked about, and this period now, and with Iran as close as they are. Do you feel the same way, that this is just such a perilous moment for America?
Yeah, I do. No, weakness emboldens your enemies. Weakness invites them to test you. They've been doing that for quite a while, taking liberties, and with no, this administration, not we, has appeased our enemies, and that never works. I mean, look at World War II, and nowhere in history has appeasement worked in dealing with your enemies, and it leads to your own demise. So, yeah, we're in a weak period right now because we've got a very weak president. He's not healthy. He's got an inner circle that seems to be running the show and cocooning themselves. And anybody, any terrorist, any nation state that wants to test us right now, this would be the time to do it, I'm afraid.
Assistant Director Swecker, we have a minute left. What do you want to tell the American people?
Well, don't lose faith. We've been through a lot in this country. When I was with the Bureau, we went through 9/11, of course. We went through different crises. I grew up just past the 60s. I lived through the 60s when there were assassinations and the riots and the cities were on fire, and we got through that. And I just somehow we find a way to get through it. And maybe there's divine intervention, but I think it's that our founders drew up a government that's built to endure, and the American people are resilient.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done for our country and continue to speak for our country. And we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Thank you both.